Hello and welcome to Mad About Superheroes Cartoon Showcase. Today we're going to flash back to the totally awesome 80s to revisit one of my favorite episodes of
Thunder! 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 ThunderCats! Ho!
More specifically, the ThunderCats episode Excalibur. ThunderCats was the headlining cartoon series in a trio of man and animal hybrid superheroes, produced by Rankin Bass. Though ThunderCats was ready for release in 1983, for some reason it was held back for 2 years, premiering in 1985. The series broke new ground in animation in the US, being one of the first to feature Japanese animators at a time before anime was popular. Though Robotech and the extremely popular Voltron Defender of the Universe were comparable in style and aesthetic, they were American dubs of pre-existing Japanese shows. ThunderCats are superheroic cat people that flee from their dying homeworld, Thundera. They end up on Third Earth and battle the evil Mumm-Ra, as well as the mutants Slithe, Jackalman, and Monkeyan, among others. The ThunderCats consist of their young lord Lion-O, as well as the swift Chitara, the mighty Panthro, and the cunning Tigra. The Thunder Kittens, Wily Kit and Wily Cat, Snarf, and their wise mentor Jaga. Before getting addicted to ThunderCats when I was about 10 years old, I had seen several television rebroadcasts of Disney's 1960s Sword in the Stone, as well as the 1981 film Excalibur, and absolutely loved them. The wish fulfillment the story provides is timeless. Only a pure of heart or worthy soul may wield Excalibur, not to be confused with Mjolnir.
Whosoever holds this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor.
So when a ThunderCats episode aired featuring its own summary of the Sword in the Stone tale, I was immediately excited. After which I would often wait in anticipation of a rerun of the episode. The Excalibur episode of ThunderCats was excellently written by Peter Lawrence, who also wrote episodes of Silverhawks and Tiger Sharks. Always in search of ways to vanquish his enemies, the ThunderCats, and destroy Lord Lion-O's Sword of Omens, the evil Mumm-Ra learns of the legend of the Sword in the Stone. The wizard Merlin and Arthur, who would pluck the mystical sword Excalibur from the stone, after many unworthy men tried and failed. Mumm-Ra devises a plot to exploit Excalibur and achieve his maniacal goal. He learns Excalibur awaits Arthur's return under the protection of the mystic Lady of the Lake. Mumm-Ra uses his transformative powers to disguise himself as the legendary King Arthur and sets his plan into motion. He tricks the Lady of the Lake into giving him Excalibur, and Mumm-Ra declares, "Lion-O's time has come." At Cat's lair, the ThunderCats are suddenly interrupted. The intrusion is made by none other than Mumm-Ra under the guise of Arthur. He claims to be sent to them by their wise Lord Jaga to aid them in their quest for justice, truth, honor, and loyalty, the Code of Thundera. Though the ThunderCats are reluctant to trust him, they extend the drawbridge to Cat's lair and invite the stranger inside. First impressions set the tone of arrogance and disrespect, as the knight steps on Lion-O's shoulder as he dismounts his horse, and he plays it off as an accident. While the ThunderCats try to be gracious hosts, the knight continues to display a superior attitude, treating his host as servants, and when Snarf offers to take his sword, he's violently smacked aside. He quickly apologizes for the misstep, and the ThunderCats continue to compose themselves and treat the situation with diplomacy. Arthur mocks the Sword of Omens and Lion-O, trying to bait him into a fight. The final insult is when the knight insists that he assume command over the ThunderCats, and when Lion-O stands up to him, he challenges the young lord of the ThunderCats to a duel at dawn, eager to test the Sword of Omens against the legendary Excalibur. The combatants meet on horseback, ready to joust. Lion-O wins the joust and wants to end it there, but his adversary is not satisfied and charges full tilt for another round. They knock each other off their horses, and Mumm-Ra draws Excalibur. In defense, Lion-O draws the Sword of Omens. The two mystical swords display incredible power as the mighty combatants duel. Magically, the Sword of Omens and Excalibur fly out of their master's hands and continue to battle in the sky above. Mesmerized by the spectacle before their eyes, the ThunderCats and Mumm-Ra become mere spectators in the mystical duel. The majestic duel ends when Excalibur pierces the eye of Thundera embedded in the Sword of Omens hilt, which renders the sword and the ThunderCats themselves powerless. A gloating Mumm-Ra reveals himself, and while he revels in his triumph, he quickly realizes Excalibur will no longer obey his commands, and the wizard Merlin appears to smite the foul Mumm-Ra. Merlin banishes the evil Mumm-Ra and restores the ThunderCats and the Sword of Omens to their former glory. Merlin entrusts the fate of mighty Excalibur to Lion-O, and when Lion-O learns of its origin, he decides, with the help of Merlin, to return it to the Lady of the Lake. The totally awesome ThunderCats theme song was composed by Bernard Hoffer, with assistance from James Lipton of Inside the Actors Studio.
ThunderCats are on the move. ThunderCats are loose.
The ThunderCats theme song and intro remain my absolute favorite to this day. The ThunderCats features a very talented cast of voice actors, such as Larry Kenney as Lion-O. Kenney also voiced Jackalman, and besides being cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, Kenney also voiced Bluegrass on the Rankin Bass related series Silverhawks. Earl Heyman as Panthro. Heyman acted in front of the camera as well. He played the father of Cliff Huxtable on The Cosby Show. Peter Newman as Tigra. Newman also voiced Wily Cat and Monkeyin. Lane Lipton as Chitara and Wily Kit. Lipton also voiced a personal favorite recurring character, Mandora the Evil Chaser. Earl Hammond as Mumm-Ra the Ever-Living and Jaga. And last but not least, Bob McFadden as Snarf. The 1980s had more than a few powerful swords set in the sci-fi fantasy genre, especially in animation. But Excalibur is the source on which all others are based, dating back to the early 1200s. The Sword of Omens definitely owes a debt of gratitude to Excalibur, and this episode pays up in full by giving a gracious nod to the source that influenced it. Watching this episode on TV as a kid, I figured Lion-O and the Sword of Omens would win the duel against Mumm-Ra and Merlin's Excalibur. After all, Lion-O and the Sword of Omens are the stars of the series. I was totally surprised when Excalibur won the duel with the Sword of Omens. Props to writer Peter Lawrence for focusing on delivering a compelling story and not being overly concerned with the main characters of the series looking weak and always having to win. It's important for kids to realize that the good guys don't always win, and there's just as much to learn from failure as there is from success. I also like Chitara as the voice of reason in the episode. She feels that Lion-O shouldn't have let himself be baited into a fight by Arthur. Lion-O had nothing to prove, but he let his pride dictate his actions. In the end, Lion-O acknowledges this mistake to Snarf. But wait, Mumm-Ra swatted Snarf like a fly, and he bitch-slapped Lion-O.
Hold me back, Dot! Don't hold me back! Oh, okay.
Marvel Comics produced the monthly ThunderCats comic book under their kid-friendly Star Comics imprint. An adaptation of Peter Lawrence's screenplay of Excalibur was featured in ThunderCats number issue 20. Though faithful to Lawrence's script, there are a few differences, such as opening with the Sword in the Stone legend. In the cartoon version, the episode opens in Mumm-Ra's lair. The comic also depicts Lion-O regaling the Thunder Kittens with triumphant tales of the Sword of Omens, and remarking on what an honor it is to be chosen as the heir to the Sword of Omens, and its time-honored legacy. The Thunder Kittens aren't even featured in this episode. The comic version also features the ThunderCats suddenly interrupted by a bolt of lightning smashing through their window. The intrusion is made by none other than Mumm-Ra, under the guise of Arthur. But in the cartoon version, none of this happens. Mumm-Ra just rides up to Cat's lair. The ThunderCats see him, and they ask him who he is. In the comic book, Mumm-Ra kicks Lion-O when he dismounts his horse, but in the cartoon he merely steps on Lion-O's shoulder. The comic book also shows Lion-O exclaiming his trademark catchphrase, but this also isn't present in the cartoon version. It's actually one of the rare episodes that Lion-O doesn't shout,
Thunder! 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 ThunderCats! Ho!
The comic also features a debate of philosophies, in which Mumm-Ra believes that only in victory is honor, while Lion-O believes honor learns from sacrifice and humility, and that the battle is vain and fruitless. This debate is also absent from the episode. The comic also shows Mumm-Ra lock the Thundercats inside Cat's lair, but in the cartoon version the Thundercats willingly watch from Cat's lair, feeling it's a one-on-one fair fight and they shouldn't intervene. And as mentioned, Cheetara is the one that comments that it's a fruitless battle. The changes in the comic version are minor. I'm sure that writer Daryl Edelman wanted to put his own stamp on the material. I'm a fan of both versions. The artwork on display in the comic by Ernie Colin is really good too. Colin illustrated several of my favorite Thundercats issues. Thundercats is a true 80s cartoon standout. It had some of the absolute best animation on TV of the era, emphasized moral values among great action and adventure, and the Excalibur episode will always be a personal favorite. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Cartoon Showcase. What's your favorite episode of Thundercats? Did you have a crush on Cheetara like I did as a kid? Let me know in the comments. And as always, thanks so much for letting your geek flags fly with Mad About Superheroes.
Thundercats are on the move. Thundercats are loose.
Thundercats are loose, and you can grab them with the Thundercats album and sticker packets. The stickers are scenes from the Dynamite TV series. Collect them, trade with friends, and finish the album quicker. Included is a full-size poster to complete. A packet of 6 stickers is 25 cents. Collector's album is 35 cents.
Thundercats.
Thundercats are loose, and you can grab them when you stick with Panini.